Hello, viewers. Very good day to all of you. Now, Amal Shankar Mukherjee, Assistant Professor, School of Education, Adams University. Today, I will discuss on the subject Pedagogy of School Subject Physical Science. Now, I'm focusing onto only the aims and objectives of teaching physical science in the secondary schools. Now, before having a discussions onto the different aims and different objectives that are stated for teaching physical science, let we get an idea about exactly what is science. If we are not keeping the view and ideas of the science in our mind, then it is not possible to reach the specific target, that is aims and objectives for teaching physical science. So if I'm just focusing onto the science, it can be said science is defined in several different ways by different individuals. Let me take some of the very popular and important definitions that the science educationalist has set. Now, according to the Fitzpatrick, science is a cumulative and endless series of empirical observations which result in the formation of concepts and theories, with both concepts and theories being subject to modifications in the light of further empirical observations. So, science is both a body of knowledge and the process of acquiring it. Now, what exactly there is in the content of the science? So, content defines science as an interconnected series of concepts and conceptual schemas that have developed as a result of experimentation and observation and are fruitful of further experimentation and observation. From the various definition, the threefold nature of science, which is explained as science is a body of knowledge, science is a method of inquiry, a way of investigating, which is the most important quality of science, of course. And the third, science is an attitude towards life, a way of thinking. So, science is viewed by a layman as a body of scientific information. But to the scientists, however, it is a method by which the hypotheses are tested. On the other hand, a philosopher would view science as a way of questioning and truthfulness of knowledge. A comprehensive definition of science views science as a body of knowledge, a way of investigation or a method, and a way of thinking in the pursuit of an understanding of nature. So this is the general idea of the science, which is the broad target of the teaching that I am going to discuss with you. Now, each and every subjective teaching must have a certain aims and objectives, which set a target for the teachers to reach it through his method of teaching when he is approaching to the students. So let me discuss the aims and objectives of science teaching, specifically the physical science teaching. Now, first I come to the aim, that is aim of science teaching. Now, what is aim? Both are the targets, aim and objective. Target means the teachers are trying to reach to that particular target by the way of teaching he or she does along with the students. So what is the difference between aim and objectives? So let me start with the aims of science teaching, specifically the physical science teaching. Aim is a broader scope. It is the basic target in life which an individual tries to achieve. So each and every of us having a specific target in life that we want to reach or attain. Now, each and everyone can try out by their own way to reach that particular target. But if that process of reaching the target, it should be a logical and comprehensive form, then only there is a higher chance of each and every individual to reach the target in life. So science shows the path, shows the logical sequences by which a particular individual, as it can be considered as a teacher also, who can follow up that particular path to attain his target within the comprehensive time period that he or may have to reach that target. Okay, so aim specifically shows that basic target in life which an individual tries to achieve. These are the needs and demands of science which may or may not be attained ultimately. It is not the thing that we will have to reach that target, we will be able to reach that target. The thing is that we will try in a logical and comprehensive pathway to reach the target. The process, that is most important. Okay, if we are following the specific logical target, logical sequences in an understanding way, then there is a chance to reach that target. And that science only shows the pathway, the process by which a teacher can move forward to reach the target, that is made to student understand a specific topic so that the student is capable of not only the understanding but having the potentiality of applying that concept into in reality. Okay, so automatically the aim specifically is the needs and demands of science which may or may not be attained ultimately, but the process is important. The working, the moving forwardness towards the particular target, that is important. So physical science aims to stimulate the curiosity in finding out why things happens in the way they do. It teaches methods of inquiry and investigation to stimulate the creative thoughts. So physical science teaching aims that it must arouse the questioning in the mind of the learner. So if the learner, student, or the individual are not having questions in any of the issues they are finding out, then it is not possible to sort out any of the problems they face in real life. So question should be there. The inquisitiveness, inquisitive mind should be developed. They must have a inquiry-based potentiality by which they can try out to get the solution of a specific task. So science invokes that particular inquisitiveness in the minds of the learner through the methods of inquiry and investigation. And automatically, it also increases the creative thoughts in the minds of the learner. Because when you have the questions, when you are trying to finding out a solution, automatically lots of situations, lots of pathways that come into your mind. And you will try out which one will be the effective path to sort out the problem to reach the target. So it generates, it nourishes your creative potentiality, which can be expressed in the way of speaking or your attitudes in the process of work that you will do. So that is the main aim of the physical science teaching. Now, this aim incorporates several components which are already included in the method of aim, by which the people, the teacher, can able to track that particular aim for a teaching a particular course in the physical science. Now, what are those components in aims? First, number one, that is the productivity. It helps to produce product. It helps to earn several things. It makes a person self-independent. It helps a country to progress and self-independent. Second component that we come of the aim of teaching physical science, that is integration. Every subject should have inter and intra correlation among different subjects. In this way, science has a variety of correlations with the other subjects. Correlation of life science with physical science in intercorrelation, whereas chemistry and physics, which are the two part and parcel of the subject physical science, is intra-correlation. Intra, the correlations of the subject within. Inter, the correlation of the subject with the other subjects. So when we are getting the correlations of the physics and chemistry in physical science, there is the intra-correlation. When physics is connected with the other subjects like mathematics, like social science, so that is intercorrelations. Now it helps in making all sorts of development of country as well as the student if this inter and intra correlations can be established when the subject physical science is taught. So we are getting the second component of aim, that is the integration. Now we come on to the third component, that is modernization. Through science teaching, a teacher has to keep pace with all sorts of development in science and technology. It helps to upgrade ourselves with modernization, with audio-visual impression. Thus, a science teacher should not be aware himself out of the modern technology tools, but also upgrade himself or herself with the new knowledge and equipments associated with learners. Fourth component of aim, we can say, that is the respect towards the values. Science teaching should respect all the values of a country. It should follow the moral as well as various ethics in life. It should conserve our values of life. Okay, so these are the different components which are percolated and added in aim. And whenever the aim is as kept a target of teaching physical science, all these components should keep in mind of the teacher when he or she is percolating the teaching towards the student. Now, we come to there are different types of aim. That means whenever the target is set for the effective teaching, the target is manifold, not a single one. Different aspects of the targets are there. So on the basis of that, there are different aims which are necessary to be satisfied at the time of teaching physical science. So what are those different types of aims? First, we come on to the utilitarian aim. It should aim for increasing the productivity of our life as well as of our daily usable materials like computers, mobiles, television, etc. Second, we come to the knowledge aim. Teaching of physical science should aim for the necessary increase in the span of one's knowledge regarding physical science, helping him or her to understand himself, his environment as adequately as possible. Third type of aim that we have, development of scientific attitudes. Very important aspect of aim that is to be kept in each and every era of physical science teaching. So what is the development of scientific attitude? So it should aim for the development of scientific attitude among the learners. It should help in removing the superstitious, false beliefs, wrong notions that is spreaded in the society. For example, we can cite an example in that way. The student should know that shooting stars are not the broken stars. These are the meteors or meteorites. So that's knowledge should be there in the mind of the learner. So automatically, if the proper knowledge is there, so wrong belief or certain superstitions that will not prolong, because that will be cut off by the logical sense that they have on the basis of particular observations that they're getting in real life. Like an example that I've given. Now the fourth aim, we can move on to the cultural aim. A strong acculturations is necessary in the era of teaching physical science. So what is cultural aim? The development of culture and civilizations of a country is essentially linked with progress and improvement in the study of physical science. The countries quite ahead in the study of science are known to have quite developed citizen and rich cultural aspects. So that is to be kept in mind, and that should be effective in the form of teaching targets. Now, fifth aim that we can say, that is the social aim. The study of physical science also aim in the development of social virtues among the students for leading a well-adjusted social life and contributing significantly towards the welfares and progress of the society. Physical science helps a student to use the knowledge and skills of science for the progress and improvement of the society and educate him properly with the evils of the misuse of science and technology for the destructive ends. Next, come on to the vocational aim. Now, on attaining maturity, a student is supposed to earn his livelihood. Physical science education should also strive for the achievement of students. By vocational education, a learner can manufacture or prepare a product or material, or working in an industry can earn economy as well as helps in developing our country. So that is the most effective aim that is to be there in the form of teaching and to be attained in the form of learning by the student. So the students must be marketized. They must be well equipped so that they can be placed in the society, can do a particular constructive work, can earn money with respect to it. With respect to that, they can give the support of economy to their family as well as to the country. So that is the most important aim that I have discussed. That is a vocational aim. So these are the types of aims that must have in physical science teaching that you have to keep. So here we have discussed the broader aspect, the aims. That is the ultimate attainable height for teaching physical science. Now, in some cases, when the teaching is progressed, it is not always thinkable that we are attaining the height. So we are reduce that to an effective target, which is easily attainable, which can be attained through the method of teaching physical science. What are those targets? These are called the objectives. There is a reachable target, the attainable target that we may set for the teaching physical science. So we are now come on to the objectives of teaching physical science. Now, objectives is defined as more specific target. As I have already told, it is the attainable target. So more specific target set in order to achieve the goals on a larger front. Now, according to the Dictionary of Education, objective is the aim towards a school-sponsored activity is directed, affecting tangible changes in pupils' behavior is the end of schooling. Okay, so what are those objectives? Two different categories of objectives are there that can be attained to the teaching of physical science. One is general objective, another is specific objectives or instructional objectives. Now first focus to the general objective. It is generally known as aim. General objective is very similar to the broader target that I've already discussed. That is the aim. In physical science, the general objective is to generate scientific attitude among the student. So it's a general one, but our focus is the specific objectives, or rather it can be said as an instructional objectives. When the instruction is provided by the teacher through the method of teaching, what may be the target or things that is to be kept in mind in the form of teacher, and what should be developed within the student in the form of teaching that they are providing. So come to the specific objective. So these are the instructional objectives, a set of more specific objectives suitable to the subject and the pupil, and such specific objectives bring about the perceptible behavior changes in pupil when subjected to instructions. Then it will be considered as instructional objectives. Now the instructional objectives that are given by Benjamin Bloom has three domains. Normally, this instructional objective that was initially described and distributed in different domains or areas by Benjamin Bloom. So on the basis of the Bloom's concept, there are three domains of the instructional objective where the teacher can create the development among the students through the method of teaching physical science. So what are those three domains? First, we come on to the three domains are cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. There are the three domains: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So we come on to the first to the cognitive domain. Now the cognitive domain objectives include the instructional outcomes related to, there are different subdomains. First come on to the knowledge. In this stage, student recall or recognize the scientific facts, concepts, theories, principles, hypotheses, etc. It also defines terms, laws, etc. in physical science, like state Ohm's law, define magnetic field lines. So this increase the knowledge. This is in the cognitive domain. The second instructional outcome, that is understanding. Students should be able to understand the meaning of the definition and concept, as because facts and concepts describe a process, discriminate as well as compare and contrast between various facts or concepts. In this determination, errors in false statement and locate error in known situation and can correct them. Translate symbolic statements into the verbal statement and vice versa. And of course, able to solve numerical problems. I can cite an example for it. Like it is given, difference between alternate current and direct current. Or rather, in other way, explain Joule's law of heating of current in a conductor. So what it generates? It generates the understanding in the cognitive domain. Next, third, in the cognitive domain, we can get an application. An individual is expected to use his knowledge and understanding of facts, concepts, principles, idea, solving a particular problem while applying. Formulate hypotheses on the basis of observation. Give reasons for happenings. Draw inferences, conclusions, and generalizations, and product results happening on the basis of known facts. I can cite an example for it also, how the applications can be developed. Example, verify the law of reflection. Here the term, the action verb that is used, verify. That means students have to utilize their understanding in real situation to verify or check the laws of reflections for it. Choose the conductors from the followings that I can give example: graphite, paper, copper. That means identify which one is the conductor. First student have to think, what is conductor? What are the characteristics of conductor? Then the student in that way can identify among those which particular object has such characteristics. So he or she can identify that particular object in between among graphite, paper, or copper. So it is on the applications domain. Next we come on to the skill domain. This objective can be considered to have been achieved if the students learn handling piece of apparatus, drawing diagrams, illustrations, constructing things, and carrying out the repairs. So this is exactly the skill domain that is in the cognitive part. So we are here have discussed all the four sub areas or subdomain of the cognitive area or cognitive domain. Now we come on to the next part, that is the affective domain. It is also very much correlated with the physical science teaching. Now affective domain objectives deals with interest, attitude, values, appreciations, and adjustment. So these are the things that are to be developed within the mind of the students, and that should be generated in the form of the teaching that is provided by a teacher. So one by one we come on to the points. Number one, there is the interest and application. A feel satisfaction in collecting and exhibiting specimens and picture showing development of physical science. Enjoy performing experiments in physics and chemistry. Take part in scientific discussions and debate. Contribute articles on topics of scientific interests. So these are the things the student will do. That means the interest about the subject has already been created in their mind. So that is also the target in teaching the physical science in affective domain area. Second, attitude. Development of scientific attitude is one of the major objective of teaching physical science, as I've already told you. Develop independent thinking, show a spirit of teamwork, self-help, and self-reliance. Nor accept or reject anything without valid reasons. That means question. The question that is to be aroused in the mind. Don't accept anything what they are getting. It may so happen that what they're getting that are satisfying their needs, but still asking question where from it comes, how it comes, what exactly it does, whether really it effectivizes his life or his problem. So ask question, get the answer. If it is validated, then only he or she will accept those things. So this type of temperament, which can be considered as an attitude, that should be developed in the mind of the learner. And that is the responsibility of the method of teaching, which can generate such type of attitudes within the mind of physical science learner students. Now the third subdomain of affective domain that we can consider as an abilities. It process informations and use of scientific method. Report things, collecting data, and to interpret it perfectly. Organize, fair of science, club, science magazine, exhibitions. These are the abilities that are developed through the physical science teaching methods. So these are the affective domain area which are necessary to be developed within the mind of the students through the physical science area. So cognitive domain I have discussed, affective domain I have discussed. Third is a psychomotor domain that is also necessary to be developed within the mind of the student. So psychomotor domain. So this domain concerns the action with action abilities of an individual, that what the student is able to do after his or her learning is over. Because only acceptance of knowledge, only understanding of that thing is not enough. If the student is able to utilize his knowledge and understanding in the form of activity in real life, then only his learning is completed. So psychomotor domain, this is the effective domain in the very effective and important domain in case of physical science teaching. Okay, so what are the different phases or components of psychomotor domain? What are the abilities that are to be developed within the learner? I can discuss one by one. Number one, imitation. First, essential skill of training the students for practical and experimental exercises. By observing teachers performing them, they learn the skill first. So teacher must have an active role. Whenever there is a practical, whenever there is an experimentation, teacher will do that experiment in front of the student. Student will accustomed to learn how to do the experiment, how to involve with the experimental setups to do the experiments. And they already or automatically get the interest. If the teacher does, if the teacher can do in this way, so we will also can do the experiment in the proper way. So automatically they will be involved and actively doing the experiments and generating a good result of it. So that imitation practice must be there in the psychomotor domain. Second, manipulation. It involves and choosing a particular action, following direction and action accordingly. That means whenever a process is done, that means whenever, for example, an experimentation is doing, so it is not like that the apparatus as they are assembling the apparatus start the experiment in any way. There should have a proper way. You will have to do first this thing, then you will have to identify this one, then you will measure, then you note down the records, then you do the calculation. So there are certain stages and a particular direction is there to execute all these stages to reach the target. So students should be accustomed with following these directions in their process to reach a particular experiment that they're going to do. So this is the manipulations process that included in the psychomotor domain. Third, the ability of articulation. It involves coordination in action. Whenever a student wants to reach a target, he must have to do lots of different works or activities. All those activities must be correlated with each other. If they are not correlated, the student cannot reach the target. So doing work partly or individual is not enough. There should have a correlations among the different process of work to reach the target. It should keep in the mind, and that particular attitude must be developed within the mind of the students during the physical science teaching. Fourth psychomotor domain we can get is the naturalization. That is, attaining perfection on individual requires minimum time for completing a perfect task. Don't do any hesitations. Don't do any fast movement. Observe, doing work, measure, and then try to calculate it, generating the outcome. So you must devote a time. Whenever you are focusing to a particular work, you must set up a time, you must devote a time. Without devoting time, if you want to do in a faster movement, in a hectic way, that work will not be done, because there are a particular sequence of work, there are a particular target of each and every part of work. So a fixed time should be devoted, and that should keep in mind. So time management, that is of course is a very much important factors here, and utilizing the allotted time for a fixed work, that is to be followed by the student. So this type of nature or attitude should be developed through the physical science teaching. Fifth, the most important factor of psychomotor domain, that is the precision. There's a type of accuracy that we are able to generate. So precision, it is required in measurement and observation. Articulation and naturalization are required in planning, designing, and performing experiments. So in all cases, it is not the situations that always we are getting the exact or perfect result, but we will have to try out it. And if we are not getting the targeted result, we will have to finding out where the error lies, for which particular reason the result is not obtained in an accurate form. That has to be identified. And if it is that is to be identified, so in next experiment, we can try to minimize this causes of the inaccuracy that is developed in the experiments, and automatically result will be more precise, more accurate towards the objective. So this nature should be there in the mind of the student. Whenever a particular experiment is done, a result is obtained, they are satisfied. Okay, I have done the experiment, I have do it, I have got the result, fine. No, see whether whatever you are getting, that are the result that is expected or not. If you are not getting the expected result, that means there are less of precisions into the result. There are certain problems that has already incorporated at the time of measurement or observations. So what is your task? Don't leave off the task. Your task is finding out where the problem lies, which are the defects that is there, which can generate the inaccuracy, the imperfections in the results. Try to finding out. And in next phase, again repeat the experiment by minimizing all those problems and observe whether you are getting more accurate result or more precise result or not. So this type of tenacity should be there in the mind of the science learner, specifically the physical science learner. So it is the task of the teacher in the form of when he or she is teaching to just create this type of attitude and notions in the mind of the learner. So it is discussed all the aims and objectives of teaching physical science. So in a nutshell, these are the target that is to be kept in the mind of the physical science teacher. Whenever he or she is teaching in the class, the physical science, he should keep all those targets in mind and teach accordingly so that all these development can be done within the mind of the student and they can be setted a perfect science-based student having the scientific attitudes and be placed in the society as an effective and skilled person. So this is all about the aims and objectives of today's of the physical science teaching. Uh, I think it is deliberately explained and cleared the different aspects of the aims and objectives of teaching physical science. So thank you very much. Have a good day to everybody.